What's going on, everybody? This is Sean of Raw Select Music. Today I want to talk about this record right here. This is Joe Armon-Jone, starting today, released on Brownswood Recordings in 2018. This is a record that sort of crept out upon me out of nowhere. I didn't really know anything about it, and there really wasn't any hype for this record until I listened to the title track, and it immediately grabbed my attention. And I gotta be honest with you, this is one of my favorite records of this year, easily. And today I just want to let you know why I think you should be checking this record out if you haven't listened to it yet. Yeah, with that out of the way, let's talk about this guy. Now honestly, I gotta say that Brownswood Recordings, generally as a record label, wasn't really on my radar for a long period of time, just because I had built the image in my head that the majority of releases on Brownswood Recordings were mostly sort of light jazz, coffee house style music that was just really easy listening, really placid, and overall just really edgeless. And when it comes to jazz music, I don't necessarily hate anything that's not really edgy or really not really aggressive. I generally these days do tend to shy away from sort of the easier listening side of jazz, and definitely prefer my jazz to have a little bit more adventurousness to it. And that was probably one of the first elements of this record that really caught me off guard when I first listened to it. Joe Armon-Jone is a pianist slash keyboard player, and I think he does the majority of the arrangements on this record. And I gotta say, he is a phenomenal piano player. Easily one of the best musicians I've heard and seen play in a very long time. And that sort of level of musical proficiency was something that I haven't really seen or heard from a modern group in a very long time. But, I mean, great musicianship does not necessitate good music. And thankfully, the music on here is also really, really solid. And rather than just being a straight-up modern jazz record, this record pulls from a whole slew of different influences, including soul and funk, and a little bit of dub, a little bit of electronic dance music. There's just so much variety in the relatively short span of this record that it makes it a really fun and enjoyable listen, while also making it a very engaging listen. A lot of music like this, sort of similar to Lord Echo, a lot of music like this can be all over the place, and while it's still enjoyable to listen to, it doesn't really connect or really engage with me. And I found this album a great background listen, but also a great album to pay attention to in detail, because with not only is Joe Armon-Jone a phenomenal musician, the other people who play on here are extremely professional. The drums sound amazing, the horn blasts are super tasteful and come in at just the right time to add the right amount of punctuation. Saxophone as well, because that's a woodwind and not a brass instrument. Everybody plays so perfectly together, and there's a nice balance between sort of improvisational jam and full-on composition, because there are definitely like catchy hooks throughout this record, and there are also definitely moments where it seems like everybody's given an opportunity to just sort of play what they feel and really add their own little flavor to the composition. But definitely Joe Armon-Jone, above everybody else, steals the show with his show-stopping piano playing. But sort of getting into the music itself, like I said, over the duration of the record, it pretty much jumps all over the place. The first track, starting today, the title track of the album, comes off as a bit of jazz music meets modern dance music, and a particularly up-tempo track as well. There's definitely a really steady groove to it. There's a real nice bass line that goes along with everything. And like I said, I'm probably going to keep reiterating this throughout the rest of this video, but again, Armon's piano playing is just too damn good. And all of it just comes together. It's got nice little movements, it's got nice dynamics to it, quiet, soft parts to sort of balance up the more uplifting tone of the song before it again goes through sort of multiple little musical climaxes. And each song on here, given that all of them, each of the songs on here, given that all of them are sort of their own little mini epics in their own right, have these moments to it. And it's not just the first track. The second track on here, Almost Went Too Far, is by far the mellowest track on here, and it's definitely some sunny, late afternoon jazz, and I think the vocals fit the feel of the track very well as the song just having a nice groove to it. It's probably instrumentally like the least standout. It's not the biggest standout moment from the record, but it definitely does not detract anything away from the quality of the record, and it's just a nice, solid, pleasant listen. The next track on here, Mollison Dub, as the name would suggest, takes a little bit of influence from dub music, so adding in layers of echo, but not too much, not like crazy Mad Professor levels of echo, but there's definitely some elements to it, and the track takes a little bit of a reggae tone. Sort of similar to Almost Went Too Far. It's not a particularly huge standout moment on here, but it's definitely, again, a solid track that does nothing to take away from the quality of this record. Moving on from that, we've got London's Face, which is easily the second biggest highlight of this record, which is a bigger, much more up-tempo jazz funk number with some really, really solid grooves and some great drumming. It sounds actually like, and I want to check the liner notes on this, it really sounds like there are multiple drummers. Yes, because I was right. There are multiple drummers on that track. And you can really tell because the syncopation almost sounds like a train wreck of two poorly mixed records, but it works so well. And just the punctuating horn lines. And this has, of all the vocal tracks on this record, the best vocal performance out of any of the songs on this record. What's really cool about the song London's Face is it almost goes through Return of the King levels of the track's gonna end here, and just when you think the song's over, it breaks down, builds up to another climax, and it does this multiple times throughout the tracks, really sort of playing with your expectations of where the song's gonna go. And for me, I gotta say, I think London's Face is my favorite track on here. The track following that is Rageify with featuring vocals from Big Sharer. And for me, this is the one track that sort of misses the mark. And it's not due to anything musically or instrumentally, because the basis of the track is solid and it's got this really cool creeping tension to it and that I really like, and I tend to gravitate towards that sound. What I do have a problem with is the semi-freestyle rap that takes up a good portion of this track, and I'm sorry, it is directionless, it meanders, it feels borderline almost incompetent, and it really just does not fit the rest of the record. And I have to say, it is sort of a blight on what is an otherwise exceptional record, and a record that I highly recommend. Honestly, if they kept it to even just like a slightly shorter span, I think it probably would have ended up working out a little bit better. But the fact that it takes up so much of the track, it really sort of takes away from my enjoyment. It's not a total deal breaker, but it definitely sours my taste of what is otherwise another hit, another solid track on this record. And then after that, it goes into a very, very short outro, which I wish was a little bit longer, because it's got that nice sort of Jay Dilla choppy drum groove to it, and I'd kind of like to see them on future projects play around with that sort of sound a little bit too. So honestly, other than the rap part of Rageify and the outro, well, and that's more of a personal preference than anything, me wanting it to be a little bit longer, I really don't have that many complaints with this record. Like I said before, it's a great record to just sort of zone out and let it fill the background, but it's also a record that really rewards listening to it very closely, because there's so many musical layers, and the arrangements are just a lot of fun to pay attention to. It's honestly one of the most surprising records of this year, because there was no hype for me with this one at all. And when I heard starting today, I knew I had to grab this record as soon as possible. And I'm really glad that I picked this up. And I have to say, if you have not checked out Joe Armon-Jone starting today, you're definitely missing out on what I think is one of the best modern jazz records of 2018. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. If you've given this record a listen, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know if you thought I was way off base with that little rant about the Rageify rap, because I really didn't like that. But definitely let me know what you thought about it. As always, head over to my WordPress or Steemit blog, because that's where I put the audio link, so you can check this record out for yourself if you haven't listened to it yet. And that's going to be it for me today. Thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Till then, peace out!